Well, good evening, lotties, lasses, and lassos. Welcome to the click. You smell amazing today, and don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. Especially you, Luna. How are you doing, Luna? Oh yes, welcome to the video, Luna. I'll ignore these other people, they're secondary to you, Luna. So anyway, what is your favorite social media? Did I hear Facebook? Yeah, I thought I heard Facebook. What is your favorite thing to do on Facebook? That is right, science and conspiracies and the truth. So today we're going to discover the truth together by going through the wildest conspiracies and scientific stuff that I have found on Facebook. Enjoy. Mwah. Remember to subscribe for more scientific content. I'll create Facebook University if it's the last thing I do, and it probably will be.
Average bullet top speed 1,700 miles per hour.
Oh, friggin' freedom units.
Average SR-71 top speed 2,000 miles per hour. Globe Globe to believe this piece of poo flew 17,500 miles per hour. Lamau, you know that.
I love the scientific terms globe turn and piece of poo. All right, let's counter this with some hard, throbbing science. Air resistance is a thing. I'm not even gonna bother double checking if the numbers in this meme are actually correct, because I just don't care enough. But you know, when stuff goes into space, it doesn't need to be like streamlined in the same way because there's no air resistance. You only need something that can survive Earth re-entry if that is the purpose, or you need something that is robust enough, fits enough stuff, or can accelerate in vacuum. That's the difference, I would say. Moving on. COVID vaccinated pure bloods. We tried to warn you, but you wouldn't listen.
Health! You see, God only shines down health on the purebloods because he's like basically a raging racist. You took the vaccine that's basically aligning with Satan, so God in his petty move, it's gotta kill you.
Okay, well, no, I've seen the dates predict this kind of mass extinction event so many times. And every time I read it, I'm always late, because it's always already passed. Like, oh gee, the 10th of October, everyone with the COVID vax was supposed to die. Oh, it's way past that. Oh, what a shame. Pure bloods. Sounds like some KKK shite. God.
A young woman just came to my door wanting to sell me solar panels. I told her no, since they're unhealthy.
What? Do you mean like, yeah, to eat maybe? Where is this going?
My niece and her husband rented a home and began having migraines. They found out that the solar panels were above their bedroom, so turned them off. Their headaches disappeared.
I mean, yay for singular anecdotal evidence. It's also on... What is your scientific study?
A friend of my wife's bestie had headaches. What?
I mean, even just explaining the singular anecdote, it could be anything. It could be like, oh yeah, there is a bad, you know, electricity adapter or something like that, as, you know, whistling at a weird frequency, or anything like that. Or, you know, they just happen to coincide. You know, it could be literally anything. Oh gee, we both had a cold and had a bit of headache, happened to unplug the solar panels. In a couple of days, the cold got better. Must have been the solar panels. Yes, coincidence doesn't exist. It's very easy to get sucked down holes when you try to make anecdotal evidence work as fact. And there's a difference between like anecdotal evidence and your own life experience. Like, it's important to differentiate. But if you want to talk statistics and correlation, like solid correlations between various things or causations, it's important to not only look at singular things or singular occurrences, because due to the variation, it could mean anything. Let's take a simple example. Let's say, for example, the average height of men versus women. You know, men are on average taller than women are. But if you pick just a singular example, you could say like, oh, here is a man that's shorter than this woman. Obviously, women are taller. And then in that case, it's pretty obvious that it's just one anecdote and it doesn't really prove anything apart from what is true for these two individuals in relation to each other. So if you want to make a broader claim, it's very important not to get stuck on just singular anecdotal evidence, even if it's tempting, because sometimes it does prove what you want it to prove, but that's not always the case in the real world. Adam is not myth. Job is not myth. Noah and the global flood are not myth. Joah and the great fish are not myth. When the Bible details an event, that event actually happened in history.
But what about the dinosaurs?
And what about the kangaroos? It doesn't mention kangaroos. How could you do this to the kangaroos?
They need you to believe this took place on that.
Wait, there's not even an argument here. It's just that they need to do it. But that's it? Okay. Let this sink in. Small Earth from the moon's surface. Large Earth from behind the moon. Both photos are from NASA. Okay, well, first off, I'm not even sure if it's real photos or they're just cropped together. Secondly, depending on what lens you're using or just, the distance between objects or anything, obviously the Earth is gonna look bigger behind the moon unless it's really, really far away, but not with a relatively small distance between the moon and the Earth. But if you take a picture of the Earth from the moon's surface and you have a wide shot lens, so you see a lot of the surface of the moon and a tiny little dot in the sky, of course it's gonna be different. And then of course if you're in space and zoom in a crap ton on the moon and the Earth, of course the Earth is gonna look bigger. It's just about perspective. You can do this yourself with a couple of like a basketball and a tennis ball and a camera. You can recreate this, using balls.
Not only do masks reduce your O2 and increase your CO2 intake, which makes you wheeze or gasp, but they also provide perfect warm, damp breeding grounds for pathogens to breathe in that will progressively make you ill. For those who want more respiratory issues, job done.
Absolutely none of that is true.
And your exact qualifications for stating that are?
A degree in medical and fellowship of the Royal College of Anesthesiologists, nailed that one, for which I was examined in respiratory physiology and the mechanics of gas transfer. I also love how it's always the other way around. You're debunking my BS? What's your qualifications for debunking my BS, huh? I didn't link any sources or anything, but you have to prove yourself qualified of debunkiness. Eiffel Tower from London, 286 miles away equals 6.45 miles hidden. Quarantine reduces pollution, improves flat Earth. So there's the Eiffel Tower, allegedly sticking up from the ocean. But isn't there stuff around the Eiffel Tower? I mean, if you see that much of the Eiffel Tower, where are all the buildings and stuff around it? When you say that the Earth is flat, it's not like so literally flat that you don't have any mountains or tall buildings in between these two locations. Why doesn't anything else show up apart from just the Eiffel Tower? It just doesn't make sense. Not to mention, if you were to try to spot the Eiffel Tower from that kind of distance, considering the Earth is flat, considering the air is clear enough and all that kind of stuff, wouldn't it just be like so thin that you wouldn't be able to see it anyway without like a telescope? It doesn't really add up.
Think about it. The real reason why they removed lead paint.
Look at that. Oh my god, white lead. Oh, let's dig into this scientifically, shall we? Lead paint was banned, not because children were eating paint chips, but rather how well it absorbs RF/EMF radiation. Why do you think you wear a lead vest while getting X-rayed? Lead is highly effective in providing protection from sources of radiation, including gamma rays, X-rays, and other type of radiation. The truth of the matter is that if they remove this paint to make their silent weapons more effective against us. There's a picture of like routers and phones and stuff. All right, I see. Lead poisoning is a thing. Radiation is also a thing, but I don't think it's like, oh gee, we're gonna roll out smartphones soon. Better get rid of all the lead paint so we can... I don't know, is this part of the 5G chip conspiracy? Is this where that ties in? Oh, I'm really going down a rabbit hole, aren't I?
The 4 biggest lies ever told. Big Bang Universe, evolution, gravity, and the globe.
Facebook memes, man. Now it's not even like wild lines of logic or anything like that. Now it's just memes that, you know what's true? Flat Earth. Done. It's just a statement. There's nothing else to it.
A no vote is a yes to real marriage. Only one of these work. Look at that belt because they go together. And that's a gay belt and they don't work because they're the same. Only one of these is a real seatbelt. Look at that. Only one of these is a real marriage. It's biology, not bigotry.
I just made up a completely unrelated comparison about gay seatbelts. And that proves that gay marriages don't work. #science. But you can literally do this for like anything. This is the same kind of garbage as that scientist who disproved that, gay marriage can't work because magnets of similar poles, repel each other. So gayness isn't real.
I think we can all just agree that, humans, seatbelts, and magnets are just a little bit different, slightly different.
Let's see, 100 Heart. The sun is not 93 million miles away from us. False, science tells us. It is local and under the firmament dome, as the Bible declares.
And easily proven with sun rays. Yes, a ball of fire does not bring life to plants.
Did they just skip like fifth grade science, you know, the whole photosynthesis. Okay, all right.
Crepuscular rays absolutely show local sun. What the frick is crepuscular rays? Heliocentric is Satan's deception for globe ideolatry that in all USA pay tribute to NASA fraud, Satan's agent, at over 50 million every day. Prove it for yourself, one Tesla. Outer space is 100% fake as we live in a giant building as previous civilizations have. Like a giant classroom of Earth is a wall, ceiling, and a floor. By the way, moon is its own light as it's generated from cooling light measured repeatedly from 5 to 12 degrees cooler than moon shade. Exact opposite of sun. What on earth are you on about? What have you been smoking? I am considering some of that. Seems kinda crazy, yo.
According to them, it is to glorify their god with 93M broke down as 3333.
What? They were probably hoping nobody could grasp how far that was. My favorite is still Pluto at 3.2 billion miles from the sun. Yeah, grasp how far you can't stuck in its vortex being pulled for millions of years, but it was only relevant from 1929 when Walt Disney created the cartoon character up until several years later after he died, and there was no more need of it.
Wait, are you telling me that the solar system was structured because there is a dog called Pluto in Disney?
Is that where this is going? What?
You don't get this from something 93 million miles away. Look at those sun rays.
Well, no, it's because, you know, you get the same thing through like curtains in a window. You know what? This is, oh my god, you know, curtains in a window, even if the sun was local and you get that through curtains in a window, it's also possible to get this through clouds in the sky if the sun is further away. You know, but
what? Exactly, vectors are proof.
I swear to God.
It's been flagged as false info now. Wow, Facebook, I noticed from Blorp sharing it. Fact checker strike. It means this is so true.
Oh, when something gets flagged as misinformation on social media, that means it's true because it confirms it, because they're trying to cover it up. It's not that you're spreading harmful misinformation, it's confirmation that it's big freaking quirky lizard people that are trying to cover up that the sun is flat.
Remember when they spent years telling us to panic over the hole in the ozone layer, and then suddenly just stopped talking about it and nobody ever mentioned the ozone layer?
What happened is scientists discovered chlorofluorocarbons were bad for the ozone. Countries believed them. The Montreal Protocol was signed and the CFC use fell by 99.7%, leading to the stabilization of the ozone layer. Perhaps the greatest example of a global cooperation in history. We should be celebrating shit like the ozone layer getting better. Where's out, remember when there was a hole in the ozone layer over Antarctica, but there isn't anymore because humanity freaking worked together for once day? That would be amazing! That would be such a good, yes! That'd be awesome! Oh, like the actual good long-term achievements we come together to do. We need more holidays like that instead of like celebrating random stuff. Freedom from Atheism Foundation. FFAF almost spells like FNAF. Alright, let's see now. Dickie Dawkins Day School for Reasonable, Rational, Scientific Kids. Well, Johnny, if God exists and who made God, check and mate. Do not touch pony evolving, alright?
Mr. Dawkins, I made this clay pony. His clay eyes and ears can't see or hear me, but here I am.
Jesus. I have never seen like such a bad straw man in my whole life, I think. It's at the point where the straw man is barely recognizable as a man. You know, it's just a pile of straws on the ground and it's like, ooh, here's the straw man argument. You couldn't even straw it up good. You know, that's how bad this is. God.
I just met the cardiologist at London Teaching Hospital. He read my papers in Blorp. Very well done, he said. I shared it with my colleagues. The feedback was very positive. We didn't know that his jab could cause so much cardiac damage. It all makes sense now.
Yes, and then everyone in the Starbucks clapped. Who? If you don't believe that God exists despite the obvious natural and scientific evidence we have in our DNA, teleology, morality, and cosmology, then you're an enemy of God. So what are you, a friend or enemy of God? I mean, I think that's just, you know, friend or enemy of you. You just made a bunch of stuff up. I don't think you speak for everyone, nor Big Sky Daddy, but... I also love stuff like this when you're just like, there's obvious proof in DNA, but then don't elaborate at all. What do you mean? Wait until everyone finds out that hospitals nationwide murder people simply to collect COVID subsidies. That's $48,000 per death. I don't. so hospitals would be paid per death. That'd be like universities getting paid for every dropout. I don't think that's what's being endorsed. I'm just gonna be honest here.
A fetus is the same as a human. Life begins at conception. If you support abortion, you are a murderer. Unfriend me.
If you believe life begins at conception, I have a thought experiment I'd like to do with you. You are currently in a fertility clinic, and a fire alarm goes off. As you run towards the exit, you hear someone screaming from inside a room. You open the door, and before you is a terrified 5-year-old standing in front of a table. The table has a container on it with a label 1,000 viable human embryos. You can A, pick up the child and help him escape, or B, pick up the container of embryos and escape. Smoke is rising, and you are starting to choke. And if you don't pick one and leave now, you are all going to die. Which one do you pick?
Frick you!
Oh, okay, that's where that argument went. Nice. That is not even the main question. I'm not sure why people are so obsessed with that dumb when do life starts thing. The real question about any legal stuff is always, can you actually enforce it? That is so true, and it's so true for so many things. You know, just take for example when they made alcohol illegal in the US. Did it actually make alcohol go away? Nope. It just removed all control and restrictions on it and created a massive black market that instead fueled underground operations. It's, you know, it didn't have any positive effect whatsoever. And the same thing happens here. If you make something like abortion illegal, people will still try to seek it out if it is that important. If it is like, oh my god, something went wrong, someone is preggo, it's gonna, you know, we can't financially support this, it's gonna, you know, completely mess up lives, and, you know, maybe the baby can't even be cared for, they are gonna desperately seek it out anyway. So no matter which morality you argue for, it always lands in the same conclusion. Is it pragmatic? The answer is no. Because if it's made illegal, it only leads to more underground stuff. People selling kind of abortion stuff off the books, and then there's no standardization, there's gonna be no legal protection, there's gonna be a ton of people doing it by themselves or in dangerous context, which leads to the same number of abortions, but a lot of hurt people and dead people and a lot of money under the table. So like, why? Why pretend? It's not pragmatic. God damn. If Noah's flood never happened, why are there so many flood myths all around the world? Evidence of Noah's flood. Look at these red dots. Flood myths in more than 140 Asian societies based on ethnological and historical cultural sources. Look at that. It can't possibly be at the jet, you know, they freaking live by the water. You know, that's probably not a correlating factor. You know, ooh, there were big waves. Or we had the boat that sunk. Oh, stories about floods. Nope, that can't possibly be it. It must have been Noah's boat. And to be honest, pretty much every civilization that has ever existed has believed in supernatural things. And it's usually to explain stuff that we don't understand. You know, the Norse mythology used to think that thunder was Thor running around and clapping his thick hammer. Yes, that's what it was. And so on and so forth. It's always used as a method to explain things we don't understand. And we use beliefs to do this, you know, today as well, when it comes to what's the meaning of life, or morality, or what happens after death. And I think that's a very human thing to do. I think it's a result of psychology rather than everything else. It doesn't mean that everything is bad or naive necessarily. I think we're always looking for answers, and humans are curious. But there's a difference when it goes, you know, beyond trying to figure out something we don't understand versus trying to enforce things that we are past understanding. You know, you wouldn't take someone super serious who would run around and say that the thunder is actually Thor, now that we actually know what it is. You know, I think that's when the split happens between, you know, the factual arguments and what we believe, or more soft subjects.
Same-sex marriage just won't fly. Look at this, man, woman, and gay marriage is man.
Oh, look, it's like with the seats. You know, humans are just like plane wings. You know, and the marriage is the play. So if it. What? You could have literally made any other picture to prove the exact opposite. It's like, oh, a gay marriage works because you have two wings that are the same. But if you have a straight marriage, then the wings are different. And they're gonna be like flicking flickety-flockety, and the plane won't be able to fly and it will crash. You see, only gay marriages are valid. It's that anyone buys these comparisons is wild. Why can't they be mixed? The biblical warning of wearing wool and linen together proved in scientific studies to be accurate. The energy of these two fabrics put together, wool sweater on top of a linen outfit, collapsed the electrical field as well as wearing of black colored fabric. Electrical...
What? Where the two textiles measure 5,000 signature frequencies. What on earth do you mean by 5,000 signature? Do you know what frequencies are? When put together, these cancelled each other and brought measurable weakness, and in some tests even pain to the human body. Wait, what are you so all clothes have a frequency. What frequency are we talking about? Because usually when you talk about it like this, it's like vibrations, right? Like, so you have 5,000 distinct frequency vibrations. It's not like any harmonic waves or anything. It's just like all over the freaking place. It's basically white noise vibrations, essentially. And that is in your clothes because that's good for some reason. But when you put two clothes together, then the white noise vibrations go away, and that makes you sad. Did I get it right? I don't even know anymore. This is so much just buzzwording. I found this particularly funny because I used this passage as a way to help my religious family to see that the Bible should be read and understood in its context, and that it's not magically an explicit and literal text written for the 21st century America. I think that goes for a lot of philosophies in the world. It's like there's a lot of wisdom because the people that have thought about this stuff for a long time have a lot of the same concerns that everyone does. You know, we're humans. We have a lot of similar questions, but not everything is in a literal sense, perhaps. If that makes sense.
Let that sink in. We live in a country that creates its own money, yet we still can't afford to feed the homeless or fund education.
Well, you know, it's not... It's it's okay. Yeah, you do have a valid point. I'm gonna put it that you do have a very valid point, but it's not because of this. God, I think I've gone this rant so many times in my videos, but, you know, money represents value. Printing more will just dilute the value between more currency, hence inflation. So, you know, it's not gonna actually be able to pay for more. It's just gonna dilute the value between higher volumes of currency. It doesn't actually create more value.
Why assume that Noah took live animals instead of simply gathering their embryos and sperm? Let's humble ourselves and acknowledge that people in the past were potentially as advanced or even more so than we are today.
Based on absolute what? Based on what? So there is no evidence of an actual flood, but instead we go on a tangent that, you know, there probably was a flood, and the reason why you could fit all the animals is because they had embryo-preserving cryo technology and stuff. What? People of the past did have some really cool ideas. If you look into, for example, engineering of ancient structures and that kind of stuff, they did have some pretty smart stuff figured out. But that doesn't mean they had that kind of technology. I think that's a little far-fetched. NASA releases stunning 4K video of Apollo 13 views of the moon, ending all conspiracy theories. Alright, let's see what we have here.
I mean, they just make dinosaurs in Jurassic Park 2 in 4K. Doesn't mean they filmed it live. God will prevail to this evil agenda. CGI, yes indeed, Satan. We are not some dust flying through space at millions of miles per hour that spontaneously became a living being. Go ask any airline pilot if they adjust their flight route for nose down every few minutes. No, they all definitely stay. It's a flat plane.
But wait, ask a pilot. They literally have flight plans that, like, you can see they go around the globe. You know? Did you ask a pilot? I don't think so. But pilots do deal with the fact that it's not flat. That's the entire point why planes fly north and over Greenland and Canada to get to America rather than just straight over the Atlantic. Yeah, exactly! Yes!
If you can be gay, then you should be able to be unvaccinated. Checkmate, LGBTQ. Yes, indeed. If you can be gay and do the PP sin stuff, then you can avoid the...
Wait, let me see if I understand the logic. So it's like, if you can so easily be gay, then you can just as easily not get a vaccine. What? I have probably read this 3 times now, and I still don't understand it. It's amazing. Facebook posts. Baby boomers didn't have autism, seizures, allergies, or other ailments when they were kids. Press X to doubt. I've seen this sort of argument when it comes to a lot of things, including, for example, people coming out as LGBTQ, or when it comes to allergies or different kind of neurodivergencies. There are so many ways to explain why the numbers go up that aren't to do with, you know, oh, this generation is just so weak and being influenced by all this horrible stuff. A lot of it is simply that, one, we expand, you know, umbrella terms and what is included under certain things. Number 2, we're getting better at diagnosing things. And number 3, it's getting more accepting, so more people come forward and get diagnosed or come out as gay, you know, not conflating the two, but, you know, when it comes to, you know, hidden statistical numbers and that kind of stuff, both of those topics have been pretty shunned in the past. So there are many factors that explain why numbers increase as generations go along, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, if a statistic like this increases and that's the leading factor for it, that is actually a good thing. So this kind of stuff,
Meh.
I think I read studies years ago about, for example, how excessive cleaning materials and that kind of stuff can negatively affect allergies. So, for example, dust when you live in a home. And it's like, okay, these are modern things, I suppose. So then you can argue that increases it. But apart from that, you know, it's a pretty odd argument.
I do not choose to believe in flat Earth to get ridiculed and laughed at. Fighting the fight. I know it's flat because common sense, mathematics.
You're really gonna use mathematics? Freaking Greece figured out it was round with sticks. They measured the shadows with sticks.
And countless hours of research has brought me to this determination.
Research, scrolling, stay-at-home mom Facebook groups. Ooh la la.
This is why we don't want experts anymore. Just naysayers looking to extend their so-called research grants. Just build a big spaceship and send it. It's not rocket science.
Building a spaceship is not rocket science. Let's build this big rocket. It's not rocket science.
Then what in the flying is it?
Evolution is a lie. God created this world, breathing life into a full-grown human named Adam. If someone thinks creation is a lie, they won't believe in God or found salvation. The first evolved baby couldn't raise itself without the help of an already existing adult. Checkmate.
Oh, this is kind of like the whole what came first, the chicken or the egg kind of deal. Well, you see, in nature, when stuff evolves, it's a very gradual process. It's a common misconception that individuals don't evolve, a species evolves. So when you talk, for example, about a missing link and stuff, there will always technically be a missing link, because if there is a massive line of a generational tree, there's always going to be some stuff missing in between. Obviously, because, you know, unless you find every single skeleton in the ancestral line, there's always going to be a missing link. But this is how it evolves over time, very slowly. So there isn't that just a human baby popped out of nowhere and there's no parent to raise it. You know, the baby would be slightly different than the parents. And then the babies, you know, babies would be slightly different. And this keeps going on for, you know, 100,000 years or whatever. And bada bing, bada boom, there is a modern human. So it's a very slow, very gradual process spanning timescales that most of us can't really comprehend. And that's how it goes. Pretty fascinating. Only one doesn't match. Greek, Navajo, Babylonian, Mesa, Japanese, Persian, Viking, Indian, Maya, NASA. NASA false one. Look, all the other ones are flat. NASA is a false religion. Yes, if you subscribe to the Church of NASA, you are Satan. That's why they say T- when they launch, because NASA plus T spells Satan. Yes, Masons don't believe the Earth is flat. That's literally a globe in every lounge. Don't disprove the amazing Facebook meme.
Sodium highly reactive explodes in contact with water. Chlorine poisonous deadly gas.
Sodium chloride, food preservative and flavoring agent.
Trust the experts, right? Much of what the FDA approves isn't good. Dude, it's salt. The FDA understands that combining chemicals can completely change the properties of the byproduct, like making two deadly elements like sodium and chlorine absolutely necessary to sustain life when combined together. Don't. I mean, it's good to bother, but at least it has more likes. That give me a bit of hope about humanity. That's good.
Can somebody explain to me why my tomatoes are so small? Geoengineering blocking out the sun. Operation Solar Shield. Only an idiot will still argue chemtrails are freaking condensation.
Wait, so you're a newbie beginner at growing plants and growing fruits, and your immediate reaction isn't something like, you know, oh, maybe I should use a different pot. Maybe I need to cut my plant differently. Is it too much or too little sun? No. It's a sun blocker. That's the only... I'm an amazing green fingery person. It must be a conspiracy. Very convenient. Why did I lose at this video game match?
The shot has nanobots in it that will self-assemble. Plus, it has a snake venom payload. Plus, you are now blasting radiation like a cell tower, as well as shedding spike proteins to the family around you. How to protect yourself from the kill switch.
That sounds pretty awesome. I remember, like, what was it? Episodes in, like, Stargate or something? When they had, like, nanites that could repair their bodies and stuff, and they basically became superhuman and stuff. Sounds pretty cool. If that technology was possible, like, hell yeah.
Meteor crater. Geyser hole. You see the difference?
Oh, is this to prove that space isn't real? Because all meteor craters are secretly geysers? I think you can disprove that pretty easily. You know, there's nothing coming out of the meteor crater necessarily. It's just there are multiple types of holes. Is that so far-fetched? Why does it make an easier conspiracy? You can easily prove why a geyser is there and just But why not just say, oh, they dug out the crater, you know, to make it look like a crater? You know, That's an easier explanation that actually makes sense comparatively. Science cannot answer all questions, but the ones it does answer lead directly to faith in God. Well, I suppose that belief on occasion fills in things that aren't particularly hard science. It can be stuff like morality, or what's the meaning of life, or what happens after death, or there are many questions to existence that is difficult to explain with our current understanding of the universe, or just with hard science, so to say. Humans are weird and complex. So believing in something or having something guide you, either for the sense of belief or community or comfort, whatever it might be, isn't a bad thing. When it's conflated to take action against something that is sound logic, for example, oh, the Bible doesn't talk about vaccines must be bad, and it's like, okay, now you're taking it to an extent where it's no longer applicable, maybe cease. But before that point, it can be perfectly valid, and that conflation is a shame, because there is a lot of good philosophy and stuff to be gathered. Humans have been thinking about this kind of stuff for a really long time, so I don't know. It just feels like divisive for no reason, really. It's as a lot of things in the world, to be honest.
All I know for a fact is my friend glows. 2 of my friends' mothers are magnetic. Oh, like that lady that was trying to prove in live TV, but when they was sticking a coin to her shoulder, but all of a sudden didn't work. That was amazing. I loved that clip. My cousin and 3 other people I know died from the shot. I cut hair. In my clients, I've seen tons of alopecia, psoriasis, eczema, heart problems, TMG, and a couple of deaths. The list goes on. What? Magnetic? Alright, it's like, I took the vaccine and then I got hit by a car the next day. It's because I'm magnetic.
How do naturalists justify being in an evolutionary system where survival of the fittest and the maximization of offspring is supreme?
Oh, so you should just go around and do forceful naughties to people because then you're an alpha and your genes will spread? Well, I think it's a pretty simple explanation. I'm not an evolutionary biologist, but humans are typically social animals, right? So it's both the survival of the individual and the survival of the tribe that has made humans what they are, essentially. If everyone in the tribe would be, freaking sociopathic people who were technically strong individuals, they would probably just wipe themselves out if they were that murderous and forceful with each other. It's always a combination between like, oh, here's a good individual person, man, I like his vibe, and here is how, the society or the group works together. That combination is what has created human survival, and in a lot of animals as well. So only being like a really strong person who just hurts the tribe, and if everyone is like that, it's not gonna work. So I think there are many explanations to why that's not like the whole piece of the puzzle.
Same.
Flat earthers, look, a denial. Okay, lunar eclipse, look at other planets, images from space. There's no evidence for roundness, this flat is no evidence. Oh my god, yes.
Atheists, the contingency argument, the column argument, the fine-tuning of the universe, there's evolution. Oh my god. I do remember reading something, though, that was very interesting. Not speaking of terrible Facebook memes. I don't remember the source, which is a shame, because I would love to find it again, but this was many years ago, when I started becoming interested in statistical math, and there was this hypothesis. I don't remember if it actually ended up being proven or not, if it was valid or if it was still just an hypothesis, but there was something along with like, oh, the evolutionary line, in a couple of steps, there is like too many things that has happened that makes it statistically improbable, which suggests some kind of like pokey involvement. Basically an argument for aliens, essentially. Which was kind of fascinating, because I don't usually see it digging into detail when it's like, oh, this can like literally be mathematically proven. Like I said, I don't remember where I read it. It might as well have been something that looked fascinating before I could really decipher it, before I had my own degree and stuff, but that's like an interesting thought experiment. And that's the kind of logic I like to like dabble with, but not this kind of stuff, but it just reminded me of it. It's like a funny story. If anyone knows what that is, let me know in the comments. I would love to like check it out again. That'll be fun.
95% of the masses are salt deficient. Doc Peter shared a simple solution to get the electromagnetic energies firing correctly with food-grade living salt kissed by photons of light. They do not teach this in medical school.
Kissed by photons on light. So you're just using a camera flash on salt? That does nothing, apart from like maybe slightly heating it up if you smack enough light on it, but... What? It sounds like it's blessed or something. So wild.
Oh, I am on the right side of history. God made the greatest immune system ever. Science didn't. God doesn't create viruses that kill people. Man does.
But
But also, society evolves faster than human biology does. So, pandemics and stuff like that is much more probable, even though we haven't evolved to do it. Same kind of argument that we haven't evolved shoes, even though it's nice to have shoes, because otherwise you would step on a lot of stuff. We haven't evolved masks either. Evolution is very slow, and it doesn't really work like that, and our society and what happens evolves faster than pure biology, which is why it's nice to create stuff that helps us. It's good stuff.
Genesis. Personal vehicles were predicted by God as ways to get around. Only animals and wheels chariot designed for more than 2 people. No satanic neon green.
What? You mangled my legs and lower spine, aren't you gonna pay for these freaking hospital bills? Jesus didn't die on the cross for you to cycle.
Wait, are you saying the bikes are satanic? That's amazing.
I don't know these guys at work. One brought up COVID, and after a bit he says, some people don't believe in it. Yeah, I'm one of oh no. And 2 came at me after a brief exchange. They both walked away, and now they're not talking to me. Good work! Had exactly the same thing at work a couple of times. They don't like the truth. I literally had it. What are you talking about?
Look at all this stuff. Spiritual researchers have reported that the consciousness of humanity may be connected to giant crystals deep in the earth.
I think the picture's unrelated, to be honest.
These crystals may be bigger than skyscraper buildings. Underground temples like Shambhala were built around the giant crystals. When negative extraterrestrials invaded Earth, they damaged the crystals to lower the human's consciousness. Now the crystals are healing, and humans are spiritually awakening.
Spiritual researchers. Wow, fascinating. Did they dig down to check this out, or did they just make it up?
Memories are stored in the brain like RAM on a computer. Memories are stored safely in the heart. It's like the hard disk. What? That's why doctors were puzzled at the case of one person who had a heart transplant and a memory is alien to him.
Oh, so ignore every other transplant ever in history. Just this one time something weird happened, maybe caused by, something different or trauma or something, and then it's the heart. It's not literally a freaking muscle. Now it's a brain. Yahoo.
The sun is like a burning fire. Where does it get its oxygen from to enhance the fire?
You see, the sun is not the same as the local campfire. It's different. It's not literally a burning ball, even though that's how it's referred to in many ways.
Before going to bed, blend 1/2 of a teaspoon of turmeric and 1/4 teaspoon of ginger with 1 cup of coconut milk before going to bed in order to flush your liver of toxins while you sleep.
Lesson for anyone at home: if someone refers to flushing toxins but can't specify what toxins coconuts are supposed to get rid of, it's probably not real. Just gonna be honest.
Baking soda, the true enemy of the pharmaceutical industry.
Oh, that sounds fascinating.
Having an acidic body leads to most, if not all, diseases. Baking soda helps alkalize the body.
But isn't blood literally, what's it even called in English? Alkaic? Or whatever, the opposite of acidic. What?
Baking soda helps alkalize the body. Disease like cancer cannot survive with an alkaline body, so it's not surprising that baking soda helps rid the body of disease.
Are you seriously suggesting people with cancer to just eat baking soda? What? Not to mention, if you eat too much baking soda, what's gonna happen is that, you're just gonna mess up your stomach because of the stomach acid. You're gonna neutralize it. Sometimes, you have alkaline stuff that you drink and that kind of thing. When you, for example, bubble up stomach acid and hurts your throat, that kind of stuff. It is a piece of medication that is useful. Maybe not for this.
A dirty acidic body with backed up fecal matter, a stagnant non-moving lymphatic system, a body that does not eliminate deficiency equal disease, pain, and suffering.
So wait a second. You're full of acid. You're literally constipated, and what? Now I have cancer.
You need to eliminate all acidic mucus-forming foods when you won't eat any baking soda concoctions.
Acid mucus-forming foods. That's a doozy.
We need to stop blaming the sun and start looking at the chemical sunscreens, poor diet, chemical soaps, makeup, lotions, stagnant limb, perfumes, vegetables, seed oils, chronic inflammation, poor cardiac rhythm, pharmaceuticals, and chronic dehydration.
I mean, yeah, staying hydrated and eating healthy and all that kind of stuff, good things, but you can still get skin cancer, man.
We've had several posts about it. I need to dig more into this. Does anyone have any credible sources? Because my husband is an aviation mechanical engineer, claims it's contrails, and the way they dissipate all depends on the weather way up in the atmosphere.
Wait, so you're asking your Facebook group to help you argue against your literal engineering husband? No, come on, please. AIDS, homosexual disease threaten American families. And now you're wearing masks for a sexually transmitted disease. I think there are different body parts that should wear a mask, so to say, in this instance. Why is this the photo you chose? Oh my god.
Evolution, a fairy tale to explain to gullible people how the world got here.
That's very ironic.
And vaccinated people are said to have a lower vibration, making it easier for dark cosmic spirits to enter. I sincerely hope that the soul of the vaccine recipient will be saved and vibration will return as soon as possible.
What is the what is this? It's always vibration and frequency. What
Oh no, that's a vaccine. That's enough good vibrations for today. that was it smooth. I do hope you enjoyed this video, you absolute beautiful being. I hope that you, well, not learned something, but unlearned something. Oh dear God. Have an amazing rest of your day, you amazing being, and I will see you again in the very near future. Take care. Mwah.